some reason, I had an idea about wigs. You know, the false hair. I'm not sure where I got it from. Possibly I had seen an old drawing. Midhat made a sound like he was thinking and looked through the window at the sea. His high school in Constantinople was modelled on the French lycée. The textbooks were all French imports, as were half the teachers and even most of the furniture. Midhat and his classmates had sat on ladder-back chairs with woven rush seats reading La Poésie épique en Grèce, memorising the names of elements in a mixture of French and Latin, and only when the bell rang did they slip into Turkish and Arabic and Armenian in the corridor. Once formulated in French, certain concepts belonged in French, so that, for instance, Midhat knew the names of his internal organs as le poumon and le cœur and le cerveau and l'encéphale, and understood philosophical abstractions by their French names, l'altruisme, la condition humaine. And yet, despite being steeped for 5 years in all things French, he struggled to conjure a picture of France that was separate from the furnishings of his classrooms, whose windows had displayed a hot Turkish sky and admitted shouts of Arabic from the water. Even now, from the vantage of this ship, Provence remained hidden by fog and the earth's unseeable curves. He looked back at Farouk. I cannot imagine it. He waited for Farouk's scorn, but Farouk only shrugged and dropped his eyes to the table. Were you ever in Montpellier? Said Midhat. No, only Paris. Of course, the university is famous for medicine. Didn't Rabelais study there? Ah, you know about Rabelais? Farouk chuckled. Have some marmalade before I eat it all. Farouk returned to his cabin after breakfast, and Midhat climbed the staircase to the deck and sat beside the stern. He stared at the sea and listened with partial comprehension to a group of European officials, Dutch, French, English, shouting from the next bench, first about the technology of the vessel and then about the German advance on Paris. Boards quaked beneath Midhat's feet. A child was scampering along the deck. Beyond, a pair of young women compared cartes postales, and the wind harassed the tassels on their parasols. Those were the same girls who last night at dinner had displayed their lovely hair like hats, crimped and waved and decorated with jewels that sparkled under the chandeliers. At last the door to the bridge opened and a red-haired man, Captain Gorin, stepped out and cracked his knuckles. A uniformed official leapt from the bench to address him, and as Gorin's lips moved, soundless to Midhat in the wind, the grooves in his face deepened. He cupped his hands over a cigarette, shook a match free of its flame, and held the lit end in his palm against the wind. The other man departed, and Gorin smoked over the rail for a while. His curls flung about. They seemed barely attached to his head. He flicked the butt overboard and retreated below deck. Midhat decided to follow. He crossed before the shouting Europeans just as Gorin disappeared under the hatch and swung after him down the metal stairs. The first door on the passage gave onto a saloon which was full of people. In the corner a gramophone sang. He scanned for Gorin and met the eyes of Farouk, who was sitting at a table with a pile of books. I'm glad you're here, said Farouk. He had changed his clothes and was now wearing a dark suit and a yellow tie with green hexagons. I found these for you. They are the only ones I have with me. Some poems again. This one is quite good, actually. And Les Trois Mousquetaires. Essential reading for any young man on his first trip to France. I am very grateful. I will buy us something to drink, and then we shall practice French. Whiskey? Midhat nodded. He sat, and to hide his nerves, reached for the Three Musketeers. The page fell open at the authorial preface. While doing research at the Royal Library for my history of Louis XIV, I accidentally fell upon the memoirs of Monsieur d'Artagnan, printed, as were most works of that period, in which the authors... 2 glasses half full of trembling liquid slid across the polished table. Santé. Now, I'm going to tell you some things. Are you ready? Farouk leaned back against the bench and pulled the prayer beads from his pocket as he reached for his drink. First of all, women in France. Now this is strange, but they are treated like queens. Always they will enter a room first. Remember that. Expect a few things that...